roof. We talked about it. We do think we need to go ahead and replace it. We think we can do it as what we call a self-help project with volunteers. And I'll price out the materials and put an estimate together on what that would cost.
It's not an intricate roof,
No,
which is
it's
the
not.
good thing.
It's about, I was telling Kathy, this roof's about maybe 3 times the size of my shed roof, and I did that. Not a problem. It's a self-help project. And I used to roof too in the past. Again, I got plenty of volunteers lined up that want to help, and I think we could save some costs there as long as we do it safely and all that. So Rich is in there somewhere volunteering to do all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of equipment over there.
But anyway, so we've got that listed as a project to get this going. We're also going to go another project over at this wastewater treatment plant garage. We had that door replaced. Now it's time to go in and clean that up and pull out the scrap metal and things that are never going to be used again. And we'll go with a scheduled project for that one too, with volunteers to get it cleaned up. The Wells Park garage building up here, which I like to call, and I'm not just Steve Voller's name for it now, is the Wells Park Community Center. Just throwing that out there. We'll decide that later, but we need to get in there and clean it out. After Chris, Scott, and Kelly's been talking for a while about it, and we had a Lake Association meeting where I met Chris, and we talked about it again afterwards. I actually took Chris Scott into the building. We walked it and looked at it. He agrees that we need to upgrade the electrical panel in there and rewire that building. It's got some challenges in it for what we want to do. He's got some other ideas, but the first step is we got to clean it out. We got some scrap metal sitting over there that we're going to recycle, that we're staging, and then we've got a lot of stuff that Bill had left in the attic area. So I've got a plan to get that done with a team of volunteers. I just got to get it out there on the schedule, and we'll get that set up and done. It does not have to be on a spring cleanup or something. This will be a special project that we'll do as part of the town, and we're asking for volunteers to help with that. We'll need pickup trucks with trailers to haul the stuff up to either a dump to get it out of there, or set it out for bulk pickup on the first Tuesday of the month. We can time it that way. And then any of the scrap metal stuff we want to recycle and turn in and get the cash back for it, that we can turn into the town and put into the Wells Park Fund or whatever we're going to do with it. So it's very exciting to hear everybody, when you talk to them about it, they start to say, yeah, I'll help you out. Just let me know when, and if I'm available, they'll come out and do it. So that's coming along real good. I'm excited about that. I think I spoke about this before. The retention pond up on Anglin Pike was brought up as a concern by some community members about mosquito haven and stuff like that up there. I spoke to Michael Grooms, the owner of the property, and we walked and we talked about it, and he would love to fill it in if he could. So I got with Paul, how you say his last name? Shriver. I want to call him Schultz for some reason. Shriver. About 3 weeks ago, we talked about it. Thank you, Ann, for connecting us with him. And he looked at it, and I spoke to him today, and he thinks it's doable that he could fill it in. And that probably could build a house on that property if somebody wanted to split it off, sell it, and do that if Mr. Grooms wanted to. But he said there would have to be a drainage line put in, and he gave some recommendations for that. So I will take that to Mr. Grooms and talk to him and connect him with Paul. Paul said there's plenty of free dirt around this area that's being moved. The county actually has some, I guess, that we could actually capitalize on if we needed it for that, if Mr. Grooms was willing to work with the town to do the drain. Again, this is not town property. It's not town drainage, although all of his surrounding neighbors' watershed comes onto his property, and that's why that was created. I don't know. I can't find anything in the plats yet. I've got some research to do yet up there with Paul. When the Connors created this area and they built out that part of the town, I can't find anything where it talks about that runoff drainage in that retention pond per se. But there was a drain, overflow drain in it that actually ran into the ditch along South Shamrock Road and then comes in this upper lake. That's where that runoff comes into, along with the rain coming across the road
Right.
into that box we were talking, that silt collection box we were talking about earlier. So we're looking at that, and that's where Paul's engineering surveying stuff comes into effect. Where can we do it? Yes, but we could do it this way and run it behind his home, Grimm's home, along his property line, and take it to the same ditch, and that way that could all be cleared up and done. So it's possible. It's just whether or not Mr. Grimm's wants to go forward with it, and any expense would come out of his pocket. Unless the town's forcing it, then we wanted him to do it, and then he could come in and say, well, I want to split the cost with you. And I'm not talking that kind of language at this point. So, and I've not talked to him and presented that to him yet. So
Okay.
I'm going to let him talk with the county surveyor and see what they come up with, and then see where he's at on it. But so I hope that answered the question on that retention pond, but it was there for a reason. We can't just fill it in.
The mosquitoes, is that why he wants to fill it in?
Well, and there's been some discussion about it being unsightly because he's got a lot of vegetation growing around it and trees, saplings that are growing up now, and it's hard for him to clear up. So, and he said he wants to clean it up, but until he gets that water thing figured out, he's just trimming around where it is now and he's leaving. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, he says he wants to fill it in, but I don't know the difference in cost here, but he might also consider putting in, this might sound funny to some people, but a fountain would move the water around enough to keep mosquitoes from being an
Yeah.
issue.
Keep it agitated.
Yeah, sounds nice.
Yeah. That's an option, but he would prefer to
Sure.
get rid of it. So.
Okay.
And some of the town members would too. But again, if we force them to, then I don't want to put the town in a position where we're paying for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he needs to decide to do that on his own property.
Okay, I'll take that to him, but I just want to give you an update. That's where we're at on that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Paul's team's, he's been real good up there so far.
Any other maintenance projects?
No, not that.
Kept you hopping, hasn't it?
It's been busy.
Meeting of lake associations. And I know we have the Shamrock Lakes Association, Madam President, that's here, and her husband who volunteered her for the position. So turnabout's fair play, Rich. She can volunteer you.
I did, I already have.
Okay.
Well, honestly, I think we can take that off the meeting agenda as old business at this point. Just call me the liaison between the three, and I'll just keep doing that for now.
Okay.
Richard Schultz came to our the lake as they are, because I'm a member of the Shamrock Lakes Association group. So he came to that meeting and briefed what they do and elected not to combine efforts at this point with treating lakes. I've spoken with Michael Songer. He could not make that meeting. And I'm just in communication with him all the time about what's going on, decisions made, costs, and all that. So at some point, he'll try to get up here. But as far as responsibilities go, why we were going to bring him in to talk about boundaries and financial responsibilities for repairs on the dams and the drainage systems, that's still up in the air. We'll have to figure that one out yet.
Okay.
I think I've got some work to do on getting the plats and the actual pin locations, short of getting an actual surveyor out here to pin them, which would be very, very expensive. I think we can go off the plats and then discuss that with them. And say, and maybe write an agreement letter or letter of understanding that if we have a situation like we did over on Connor, that drain, that we know up front who's going to pay what portion, or if who's totally responsible for it, whether it's the homeowner, the lake association, the town board, or a combination of any of those three entities. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Okay. Blackford County Wind and Solar Ordinance. And so you folks know, there's if I misspeak, Ann, Deb, please correct me. So John Lancaster, Commissioner, has a committee, representative from Shamrock, representative from Montpelier, one from Hartford City, and one from the county. Correct? That, so I did the wind part, Steve is doing the solar. The ordinance is 5 years old, 10 years old? 5 years old. And so this committee of cross-section of people have been looking at those ordinances, trying to update them. And so it goes from that committee to the attorney to make sure everything is legal. Then it goes to the Board of Zoning,
Area Planning Commission.
Area Planning Commission for approval.
Well, Area Planning Commission will review and make any recommendations if they want changes of it. It's theirs to make. The committee's just giving them suggestions. It's their choice to make, what, it's all
Okay.
They're in charge of the ordinance, so we'll take it to them on the 1st of July, the wind part.
1st of July?
ABC meeting on July 1st.
Okay. You know what time and where?
ABC meetings are at 6 p.m. on the first floor of the county courthouse.
8 a.m. Are you doing it in July because there are still changes that we have to make?
It's on the agenda. I don't know who said that, because it's on the July agenda.
Okay. And then where's the solar?
It's not my hand.
Okay.
I still have some corrections to make for it, but before we send it to the attorney, there's the wind one that came back. There's like 4 things at the very beginning, which is that property value guarantee, decommissioning for the landowners that signed up. There's 4 big things up front that we have to fix before we send it to the attorney. We want to make sure it's fixed on wind first, then fix it on the solar before we send it to the attorney. We have to look at it, tell us the same page on this permit.
Okay.
So we want to fix that first before we send it to the attorney. There's a couple more rewording things I have to do.
Did you have something? Okay.
I'm saying we're not picking up Deb when she speaks back to him,
Okay.
that I can tell.
Anything more on wind and solar?
No, I had sent you the wind review that the attorney had made his comments on. So I'm finishing up that review, and yeah, I mean, it looks good from what we've done so far, except for what Deb just briefed.
Yeah, and
We're not picking up.
Commissioner Lancaster also said in our last solar meeting that there was a couple of things that were brought up that we need to put in the wind that did not make it, but it's in the solar. So I have notes on that too, so we've got to add that into.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't think it was going to the July meeting and was waiting till August, because there's still adjustments we need to make. There's no setbacks for like water in the wind, but there is in solar. So we were going to add that into it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do have a question. I hate to put Ann or anybody on the spot because I'm on that committee. Is there an updated map of where those projects that are happening are going to be in? Because they're
Change the location.
right.
those maps are still.
Where can we get the maps, or are they online?
No,
or-
no, I have them in my office. I can
Okay,
give you.
Is it small enough to,
I mean, the wind, yeah, you can.
well, I hate to say it, because I know some of the maps you've got are huge.
Permits are issued. You have,
I don't know.
I have one that's still issued right
That's
now.
way the heck over there.
Way the heck over there.
It is, dude.
But I should be able to scan it in and send them.
okay,
I mean, don't try to look at them on the phone.
right.
Right.
It's a big spread out area.
Well, I mean, good questions that come up. How close are they to our town? Where are they located? And all of that. And I was like, well, I want to steer them somewhere where they can understand that you're not going to see a wind turbine right outside of our town as of now. And solar, you're not going to see driving out of here as of now.
You know, the solar is Mill Road. Over by west of
Something
the
we can show.
NLP. Like that mile back of 18 and the other one is Mill, by Mill Road.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
that's it.
ARPA,
I'm happy to report that the 2024 report has been successfully filed. There were a few complications along the way, but it has been filed. Based on the amount that we obligated by December 31st, 2024, we must return $6,135.14 of unobligated funds.
6134.25.
6135.14.
By when?
I don't think I have that information yet,
Okay.
but as I learn that, I will pass that on.
they haven't said how.
They have not yet said how.
Borders, what do you want to do?
Okay, very good.
Bane of my existence.
Wells Park budget.
Okay, so I did reach out to our local regional person, and she referred me on to the state board of accounts. So they responded a couple of days ago, and they've given me several sites to research. So I'm in the process of researching, and I think it can be done. We just have to figure out the right way to do it, to add a line item. And so I asked about donations. I asked about grants, because I'm soon in the future we want to. So there are different lines apparently that,
Sublines under
Yeah.
that.
yeah, so like different ways to receive donations and grants to be received in different ways. I'm still researching that, so.
Yeah, in that, Chris and I, the group that's gonna start working on projects, cleaning things up, we'll develop a cost for the electrical and whatever else we decide we wanna do in Wells Park. And I'll send that out to the group and keep you posted on where we're at. Again, that's just all speculation at this point, just trying to establish some numbers so we can see where we're at and what we're trying to do. And then a layout in there, what it could look like and what we would like to see it look like in the future. Again, recommendations, and you all might have better ideas. So,
Okay,
but again, that money would go hopefully in that line. So
very good. Going to page 2, new business, we have 2 things. McClellan, 71 Sunset.
Yeah, so on April, I believe it was, I made all the deposits on the 10th. And then apparently I was just being really efficient, and I decided to do all the invoices on the 10th too, to get them sent out. Only our program automatically updates the due date, and it apparently didn't recognize it needed to be updated because it put the due date as 4/10. So McClellan apparently was confused by that, even though we all know it's due the 10th of the month. So she said, well, I've already paid that. So
Anyway, she's just asking, and I could see where that was confusing. She's just asking if her $5.80 late fee can be
Wait,
waived. So I told her I would ask on her behalf because I do understand that was confusing. I'll wait till the 11th for to change it anyway. I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it till she brought it to my attention. So I would need a motion for that.
I don't have an issue with it.
I don't even.
Yeah, I'll move to waive the late fee for McClellan. The $5.80 late fee.
Second,
Yes. You got it, Kelly?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Norris Insurance.
I'm sorry to have to do this to you guys. Okay, so I've talked to Steve about this a little bit just because I happened to see him. But so a little backstory is our town liability insurance is through Norris Insurance, and I don't know why it is. But last year, I kept getting information from the underwriter, but I didn't get any information from Norris Insurance. So finally, I called him, and he didn't even know he had the account. It had been someone else's, and that person had retired, and he didn't even know he had it. And so, I, for whatever reason, decided to read through the entire thing. And this was last year, and so there were a lot of mistakes on there, like the wrong addresses on, the sewer plant and the beach house. And like, there are just a lot of things. So a lot of that stuff did not get, I had to recorrect that this year. But then I had a lot of questions that I asked him. And of all the questions, like I wrote it, Mike can tell you I was on the phone, an hour and a half with him one day. So, I had all these questions. He answered 3 of them. So I had to ask them again. But, there's just different things. Like we had voted to put $80,000 worth of insurance on the Wells Park, right? And when I look at the property, when I look at the policy, like they bumped it up to, and I'd have to find it again, like 116,000 or 166,000. They bumped it up to over 100,000. And so there's just different things like that. That I just don't know. And plus the premium, was raised like 18% maybe. So we are going to be over budget on that line item budget. So we'll have to probably have a vote if we're going to pay this. This expires, it's on June 31st. So in talking to him, it's a really nice guy, but he doesn't know, and he admits that he doesn't know it's his only municipal account. And so any question I ask him, he has to go ask somebody else about it. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know why we have it through Norris. I'm just assuming it was because Hartford City, O'Hearn used to have his office of in Hartford City. So I'm just wondering if we were just doing local and then he retired and passed away. And so maybe it just got passed over to the Upland. He's in Upland. So I just wonder if maybe we should investigate getting a new company to do some of these things, because I don't.
You need someone that's knowledgeable that can answer your questions.
Right, and I don't speak insurance, but I'm just this building at the sewer plant that doesn't have enough 2x4s to support adding a new door. Why is that insured for like?
It was like 200,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 200. I'm just right here, blanket of insurance, 728,000. I think that's the whole thing. And there's just a lot of things. So I don't know that we have enough time at this point to change before it's due. So, okay, yeah, the Wells Park is insured for, they've bumped it up to $116,386. The sewer plant, the building is $276,903. Maybe that's right, maybe it's not, I don't
We
know.
don't know if that's the equipment that's sitting outside it.
Well,
And
I
that's
did,
how they covered it.
that's, oh, that was another question I asked, is that covered, because it just says building. So I did ask that question, does that cover, so there's a lot of stuff outside that building that,
Now,
you
there's
know.
an overhead, kind of like that carport building
Right.
that's over on the pits.
It's not worth that much.
But, you know,
right?
no, it's worth
Well, and then,
less than the garage.
Right.
and then, like, our deductible is $2,500 unless the damage occurs by wind or hail, and then it's 10,000 or 1%.
And I know it's not the same type of insurance, but I know the Lake Association has liability insurance and, or some type of insurance. And I know Mandy just paid that premium. I've not seen that policy. So I don't know what that covered and whether or not they've got experience with municipalities or not. But I think I'm with Diane. I think we need to do something before we actually pay this, because if and I gotta be careful on how I say that. I almost said something I shouldn't have said. If our agent is not knowledgeable, and who knows who he's going to get the answers, maybe that other person needs to be our agent.
He's going to the underwriter. There's a different company, this EMC, which is Employers Mutual Casualty Company. He's going to the
Okay.
underwriter, is who he's asking. So the lift station is insured for $248,546. I don't know. I know it's all
I think
underground.
I think it's high for that lift
Yeah,
station.
see, I don't
But
know.
I'm not an expert on
No.
that either when you're dealing with
It
that
does
type
seem high, right?
of property.
It's like a pit with a pump.
Well, what I'm wondering is if we pay the bill, because the date's coming up,
Right.
and
Well, we-
we cancel, let's say September, do we get money back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can ask him. And I can kind of maybe reach out to some other we have Smith Insurance that we have one of our bonds through, and State Farm of the other bond through. So
Maybe call Hartford City and see who they're,
Smith
Is it
Insurance. Well, I wondered because I got the fire or the Licking Township trustee, and it was that bill, and that was
Side
Smith.
of Wyman Plaza, I manage the events and
Okay.
she's my insurance. She's the one that I have to check when I have events there to make sure it's covered under the policy.
Okay,
And I'm pretty sure they do the county courthouse.
okay.
and so who is Smith? That's not the same company we
Angela
have?
Smith,
That's not the same company we have, right?
No,
she
No,
has-
this is Norris.
Norris.
Angela, she has an office in Montpelier and Hartford. So
Yeah. And we have one of, I think with the town bond is through them.
I say go in there and go, help.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. We've got a
Angela has
problem.
done insurance for whole.
You know,
and
and maybe
it'd be nice if they came out and looked at what we have.
and understood. Now I'm gonna say for a building perspective, with that garage,
Uh-huh.
100,000 may not be, 116, I don't know. 100,000 may not be off too far on if we had to replace that building.
Yeah,
Which we knew that when we insured it.
Right, and we talked about that. So them to bump it up, they're probably making that assessment based on square footage, whatever they've got that they can figure out from that property. I don't know where they're pulling that information, but it's kind of like an assessor that comes out and measures your house but doesn't see what's in it, and they assess you at a certain amount, but you're like, I didn't do anything in my house. How did they also base it on other properties around? So I'm not sure how the insurance company does it, but it's probably similar, and they're looking at,
well, I asked that question, and that was one of the questions that I had to re-ask, and now I've got all my papers all together. I just got this afternoon a response, and that the answer to that question was the insurance company can raise it if they want to. They can raise that limit if they want to. That's what they said. Okay.
Well, they feel that, and then of course they raise our deductible too when they want to. And that's when we gotta decide if we go to a different company or not.
Right.
It's like your auto insurance, you can shop around. Yeah, and I think it's time we shop around.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I'll maybe reach out to Smith or, you know,
Do you agree, Kelly? Shop around? So
Yeah, but I agree that, I mean, you
I also
go ahead and pay the bill and
if we can get a refund, if they say, nah, once we got your money, you're stuck with us, then we may wanna
how
shift
quick you can
shift gears real quick and see if Smith can pick us up
right.
so we're covered. Because that does cover liability too, if somebody gets hurt on our property, right?
Right, yes, I mean, definitely don't want to, but last year, when we were having problems with it, it was, he couldn't get everything worked out, and I kept saying, well, this is expired, like, it was in July, and he's like, it'll be fine, you'll be covered, you'll be covered. And,
Yeah, until something happens.
Yeah. continue. Well, you knew that.
yeah,
Attorney will
so,
tell you, yeah.
I'm just a little, I don't know, it seems like a nice guy, but, I mean, he supplementally, it's his only municipal account, he just doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I don't either, so I feel like we could possibly do better. It's kind of like getting an attorney that specializes in municipal law. I think has helped us out quite a bit, rather than one that is just general or criminal. So,
Yeah, if you want to reach out to Smith and let's see what they can do. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I got
Okay,
I had mentioned last meeting about Mr. John or Jack Lohan over at 60 Sunset Drive. Just a concern. The property's starting to go down. He's got things growing out of the gutters. The gutter's about leaning. His front door, when you walk up to, it's nothing but mud dauber, hornet nests, birds, feces everywhere, and the trees growing over into it. Same water pressure or pressure washer's been on the front step since I've been here for 5 years, and the same ladder's been
Right.
propped up there for 5 years. Still no answer at the door. I've gone all hours of the night over the last month. When I've been home, I'll swing by, knock, nothing. Somebody's getting the mail and somebody's putting the trash can out, because the trash can out was yesterday, because it was still out there today when I drove by and knocked out the door.
and bills being paid.
And the bill's being paid automatically through his bank. And we have no phone number for the guy. And I was telling Ann about this at the last solar meeting. I'm like, we got to do something. So I would recommend, since somebody's paying the bill and somebody's getting the mail, let's write a letter from the board and let them know we're concerned about the property, and can you please contact us if you need assistance? Otherwise, please clean up your property. That's trying to be as professional, as nice as I can right now, but goodness gracious. You know,
Is there an ordinance that you're
well,
shooting on, and I mean, I
Bushes
just
are
don't want to
overgrown.
start a fire.
See an elderly gentleman.
well, I don't know.
We don't know.
Nobody knows. The neighbor, I've talked to the neighbor, and the neighbor says, I see some guy come out randomly, but only once or twice over the last 3 or 4 years.
You
I'm like,
guys could request a welfare check.
yeah, health and welfare.
Because maybe not answering you, but maybe you would answer to someone.
I don't know if anybody's in there.
On the other hand, I mean, I think we do have rules about how we keep our property, but if
We do.
he chooses not to answer the door, I mean, and if he doesn't want to take the ladder off his house, or, I mean, I guess in his.
There's really nothing we can do, but
There's nothing I mean, that's his prerogative, I guess. But he cases,
Mow his yard.
somebody mows the yard
well, hasn't,
up to a point, and they don't do anything. They have one way off the deck. It's a stair. There's bushes that have grown up through it. You can't come off that deck unless you jump off the edge. You can't come out the backyard that I'm aware of unless you bust the gate down, because you can't get the gate open. Did I trespass? Yes, I did. In concern for I'm concerned because nobody's there and nobody's taking care of that property. So, I just can't think in good conscience if somebody's laying in there hurt or dead. But what bothers me is somebody's picking up the mail and the trash. So that tells me probably not the case.
Anthony and Bill is at least one of them,
So
I can author a letter if that's okay.
I recommend
With folks. Okay,
I propose we go from the board to the homeowner and ask for them to respond to it and what their plan is to clean up their front of their house and their property. And do we want to cite an ordinance or a covenants and restrictions? Sure, I'll go pull it out and I'll provide it for Mike.
okay.
I hope nobody wants to let their property look like the one up on 300 up there. And the county can't do anything about that, right?
I can send them a letter to know, but I don't have enough.
And he's not within our town limits, so we can't do anything about that one, but I get a lot of,
Mr. Devers came and talked to me about
yeah, and he lives in our town, Mr. Devers, so.
some of that.
Yeah,
He's
so-
the sweetest guy.
So, I mean, just, I'm concerned as not only a town member, but a board member, so.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
I have one thing. So even though the state of Indiana does not, I guess, officially recognize Juneteenth as a paid holiday, I would like to propose that we do. Paid is a generous term. We have town residents who are directly kind of impacted by the day, and I think it would be a good move to recognize it and observe it, so that like next year we are mindful to not hold our board meeting on the day. So it's my
Okay,
proposal.
Yeah, I agree. All federal holidays, I think we should
Mhm.
plan around it.
Do we need to make a motion?
to be safe, yeah.
Sure. Well, I move to officially recognize Juneteenth as an observable holiday, as it is a federal holiday.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there stipulations other than the board meeting that you're wanting to change or?
It's pretty much the only official town business that we do.
No.
So
Okay.
Yeah, just all federal holidays, we should recognize those and
anything that's like happening
Not-
in the town.
try not to schedule. Unless it's an emergency meeting, we have to hold for something, but yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't want to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Opposed?
You got enough, though.
Abstain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Very good. Anything else? Kelly, anything?
Pray the trees stay up.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We need your help.
Thanks for staying, Ann. You didn't have to.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
Did we teach you